as a kid, I was always making stuff, but you know, I was really interested in music for the most part. I mean, we were always like making, you know, sculptures and kind of pranks and shit. But we didn't. I mean, coming from Kansas, there was no idea that you could make money making art, because I mean, there's no art world in that part of the world. I mean, basically, I mean, you see that, like, so our sort of, I knew nothing about contemporary art. Really, the first time I saw contemporary painters was when that Phaidon put out the first Vitamin P book. Because before that, I mean, that was kind of pre-internet. Like, we weren't looking at art forum on the internet or anything. And so that book came out, and it was in kind of every, you know, box store. And so I got that book, and that kind of opened my eyes to, like, oh yeah, there's actually living people making money. In Kansas, I mean, it's a big folk art tradition. There are a couple guys. There's this guy, like, I think it's in Neiman, Kansas, who made this Garden of Eden out of concrete. I don't know if you've seen pictures. It's in like a lot of the big, you know, kind of raw vision type stuff. And I mean, it's amazing. And so like we saw that, and that was also when I was 18. I think that was when they found the Darger, the whole stash of his shit. So I mean, those were big influences on me. Like these kind of dudes who were in the Midwest, out of the art world, who were making stuff. I mean, that was things I was really, I mean, they were in the air at that time. But I think part of it is, I've talked a lot about Heidi with this. I think a lot of it is to be an artist in a certain way. It's kind of like being an athlete. You have to be a bit stupid in certain. You can't be always. You have to be stupidly confident in a weird way, or like not think about shit. Because if you think, like, I know a lot of like smart people who kind of went through art school, but they're almost too smart to be an artist, because if you're too hypercritical, you'll never make anything. I had nothing to lose in a way, so it was fun to make stuff. And then once people started like paying me to make stuff, it was just like I was just gonna like go as hard as I could. So that's kind of how it got going. I was when I was studying in Vancouver, my teacher was this artist Peter Schoof, and he hired me as an assistant to help him make these kind of Brancusi-ish wood carvings. They were from yellow cedar, maybe 3 meters tall, and they were like spirals, really simple shapes, or double helixes and stuff. But it was a lot of like really kind of technical wood carving. So I learned all the different tools, you know, the scoop gouges and the chisels and everything. So that got me just kind of technically interested in wood carving. And then, you know, from that I wanted to start making figures. And also being in Vancouver, it's the kind of the, you know, it's the mecca for totem poles and that sort of traditional native carving. So I was, you know, it's in the air there. All those trees are there, and they're all over the place. The real totem poles. So I guess I kind of digested it then, and it took maybe 4 or 5 years before I started making totem poles. But the wood carving started almost right away.
Skinny, now I'm fat. She used to be white, now the girl is black. I'm out her in the field, never getting paid. I'm used to it, bitch, so get out of my way. Get out of my way, get out of my way. Please get out of my way, get out of my way. I once had a million, now I have none. Stacks all day until fortune comes. Stay up in the clouds, I never come down. Cause if I come down, I'ma run up in your place. Run up in your place, I run up in your place, I run up in your place.
I called the show Hex, and usually when I'm titling works or titling shows, it's usually a really kind of, you know, intuitive. I usually just kind of go by the gut, and I'm attracted to the way like words sound. And for a long time, I used a lot of alliteration in the titles, you know, but that got really silly. But and the rhyming and things like that. But hex, that word is in English it means like to cast a spell, and in Norwegian it means witch. And I guess the palette and just the sort of tone of the show, when I was about 3/4 of the way through the paintings, and also this group of paintings, there's kind of a lot of, you know, hexy women in the paintings, and it just felt like the right kind of tone for the show. And I'm thinking much more about the colors and the shapes than I am I mean, the flower is just the perfect vehicle for those, because I really like those loopy shapes right now. And you know, the bouquet or whatever is like the perfect motif to play with color and shape and stroke and stuff. And I mean, you can't paint a flower without it, you know, immediately inserting itself into the art canon. And it's quite nice to paint those subject matterless. I mean, you might as well be painting, they might as well be abstract paintings. If the old ones were almost essays or like short stories, these would be more poems, or, I mean, they're much more moody and like, I mean, they're much more satisfying to make, they're much more fun to make, because I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, they're vague, more vague, and they're more they aren't on purpose art historical, but they are that for sure. I mean, when I'm done with them, I see that. But I'm not shooting to make a certain look or anything. But they definitely came out that way. I mean, they look old, a lot of them. So I made most of the paintings and some of the smaller sculptures in my studio in Oslo, and I'm going to do the last bit, the bigger sculptures and a painting here. I immediately liked the process of being out of my studio, you know, having a very set, fixed amount of time to work, and being in another town. It's quite nice to be totally anonymous, and it's also, I mean, if I have 4 days, you know, where I'm not with the family, and then you can work way more than you could otherwise, and only focus on the. So it's you know, it's a great way to like triple. I mean, what I can do in 4 days when I'm away working, it takes me a week and a half or 2 weeks otherwise. So and it definitely changes the work where you are. I mean, everywhere puts its own kind of flavor on the work. So these, we'll see what happens with these totem poles.